Mo Fan was an ugly, repulsive, worthless loser who was so stupid that he couldn't even answer any of his magic test questions. Mo Fan reveals that he hasn't had enough time to study because 3 months earlier, while he was sleeping in the mountains, he was greeted by a strange elderly man who gave him a necklace and was carried away into a magical and strange world full of monsters, which he emerged as the only human who could unlock not one but two of the most powerful elements. But his terrible life had not changed before he realized he was informed by his father that he could always pursue a career as a truck driver. However, Mo Fan's father pledged to assist him in getting into his chosen school when he declared his intention to become a mage. While heading back home with his companion, Mo Fan saw his dad addressing his chief. He is the head of the Mu family, which is the most powerful and wealthy family in the city. Nonetheless, this family has an embarrassing character, particularly with Mo Fun's loved ones. We learn from a flashback that they have been friends with the Mo Fun family for a long time, and when Mo Fun was younger, he spent a lot of time with the Mo Fun family's daughter. The daughter wanted to get away from her family one day because she doesn't like how they do things. She escapes on her own and asks Mo Fun for assistance. But the boss found them and ended up scolding Mo Fun's father for his actions. Now that we have returned to the present, the boss has stated that he will assist with his son's future and ensure that he attends the School of Magic, but only in exchange for their house and mortgage so that he can convert it into his land. In order for Mo Fan to have a chance to become a magician, his father agrees to give up their home. Mo Fan has also promised to become the greatest mage ever since. The teacher informed all of the students on the first day of school that they would be touching the crystal ball to determine their magical element. As he let those words out, Mo Fan's pendant gleamed, and each of the understudies perceived Mo Fan as the disappointment who bombed every one of the past tests, and chuckled right in front of him, saying that he'd never contrasted with their strong daddy Mubai. Mubai summoned the ice element, one of the most potent abilities with a 1 in 100 chance of arousing it. What's more, he had previously stirred the primary dim star on his identification, making him the most grounded fellow in their group. When it was Mo Fan's turn, everyone thought he wouldn't even be able to awaken a magical ability. So he went to his seat and wondered why Mo Fan's useless face was sitting next to him. He also knew that he would be kicked out anyway. All of the students laughed when he got to the crystal ball because it wasn't lit up, but he took it. As the purple one began to take in Mo Fan, he took a deep breath and felt the universe change around him. He also saw the bright lights of the galaxies. All at once, somebody stirred the thunder wizardry from the other class, so every one of the understudies left to look at it. They were stunned as thunder was the most impressive component, with just 1 in 1 million understudies having the option to stir it. Mo Fan closes his eyes as everyone leaves the classroom and the stone turns purple. At the same time, it turns red, indicating that Mo Fan has gained both the fire element and the lightning ability, something that has never been seen before, making him the most powerful student in the school. Despite this, the other student next door, who also obtained the lightning power, distracted everyone and prevented them from seeing what was going on. However, they are all aware that Mo Fan now possesses the fire element. The instructor salutes him, and the other students are surprised because everyone thought he would get one of the worst parts. After that, Mo Fan starts laughing in his head because he knows he just got the lightning power, but everyone thinks he only has the fire element. 2 months later, the teacher tells all the students that they will need to learn how to control the 7 stars that will appear once they are awakened, so they can form a star path that will let them unleash their full power. Mubai is asked to demonstrate by the teacher how to arrange the stars since Mubai has already received 5 stars, making him the class's highest-ranked student. The main one who was stuck at a solitary star was Mo Fan, and the folks called him a terrible frail failure. The uninterested slacker attempted to defend his friend, but the man told him to shower before leaving. As days passed, Mo Fan understood that not a solitary individual needed to be his companion. He only knew that he was weak in the fire element when he was by himself. All things considered, he can as of now control 6 stars of his thunder component. However, asked why he would never stir the 7th star, he suddenly realized that when he went to see his stepsister, he realized that she was alone and depressed because he had forgotten about her in the park. He had a go at searching for her wheelchair and saw a lot of hooligans had taken it away from her. Mo Fan came up, called them scumbags, and demanded that they return the wheelchair after their leader tried to steal it until she gave him her number. However, before putting him in a wheelchair like his sister, the man instructed him to flee. Mo Fan, on the other hand, became determined to use all of his powers after hearing those words. Before their eyes, he resumed awakening his galaxy and began to awaken all 7 stars, utilizing his Wrath of Thunder power. Mubai was informed by the boss that they must devise a strategy to exclude Mo Fan from class and cause him to fail the subsequent exam. The following day, Mubai inquires about how he intends to expel Mo Fan from the school. He responds that he will use the small stone, also known as a magic stone, that can absorb energy and can be used to ensure that Mo Fan receives a grade of D or lower on his next exam. However, their arrangement probably won't resolve so indeed, because Mo-fan has practiced using 5 stars and has developed his firepower. However, he asserts that it is still insufficient and that his fire energy is insufficient. As a result, he begins to concentrate more than ever before in order to demonstrate to the Mu family that he is a deserving magician and that he is qualified to attend the School of Magic. All the guys thought Mu Ningxu was the prettiest girl they had ever seen by the time the final exam arrived. But Mo-fan would never forget the time he spent with her. Mu Ningxu joined her father in overseeing the exam. She froze the sphere in front of her until it broke in front of their eyes to show them how the test would be done. Mu Bai received an S grade for his abilities when it was his turn to be tested, despite the fact that the highest possible grade was just an A. Everyone believed he was the best in the school, but Mu Bai also wanted to try out his magical release, so he summoned an ice sphere and hurled it at the target in front of him, freezing it to the ground. Ningxu thought he was average because he had earned a B, but Mo-fan was next. She wanted to see Mo-fan's abilities, even though Ningxu's father told her to leave already. What's more, when Mu Bai's uncle made a motion, one of the instructors approached the gem to leave the dark stone underneath it. All of this was done with the intention of revealing to Ningxu that Mo-fan was an utter squander of space. When Mo-fan tried to let go of his energy, he found that it was all being taken away. However, the teacher noticed something was wrong, so he tried to concentrate once more. Before long, the stone fell and the teacher gave him a grade of B. Miss Tang told the students that the crystal ball was faulty and that she insists that he be tested again, despite the fact that everyone thought he was significantly better than they thought. In the wake of hearing that, Mu Bai's attendants thought she was right since it was absolutely impossible that he would areas of strength for B enough to earn a B. So the principal agreed to take him again. Therefore, Mo-fan unleashed his magical abilities ahead of everyone else, attaining an S grade and releasing power that was even greater than Mu Bai's. Additionally, he is now regarded as the class's most powerful individual. After that, Mu Zhua, the leader of the Mu family, gives Mo-fan a ring as a token of his admiration and respect for earning an S rating. He also asks Mo-fan to put aside their differences as a family and offers him a job to work for him and represent the Mu family. Mo-fan, on the other hand, seizes the opportunity to inform him that he and the rest of his family are complete scum who, like his father, go about humiliating other people. Mo-fan's teacher tells him to relax and to offer Mu Juno my apologies. However, Mo-fan mentions everything the Mu family did to them 3 years ago and declares that he will not apologize. The teacher is told by the Mu family that he should be kicked out because he was rude to guests. Be that as it may, the instructor said he can't be removed only for having a contention, except if it went excessively far. So Mu Bai challenges Mo-fan to a duel. The leader of the Mu family then says that instead, he will fight Yuang, Mo-fan's foster son, in a duel. Nonetheless, this battle can only happen in 2 years because the school wouldn't let them because they weren't old enough. 2 years later, the new semester starts, and the professor welcomes them to the elite class, which is only for the best mages. In this class, the students will receive exclusive relics known as magic EQs, which will significantly improve their training. The EQ will be available to the 4 best students in the class for a month. Mo-fan made the decision later that day to set fire to a wooden target. Mu Bai froze his own target at the same time and wondered how Mo-fan became the school's best student. Mo-fan decided to approach them as they laughed at his ugly face. He wondered why Joyan's son was allowed to train with a star bracelet several months into their duel. Mu Bai uncovered that his star wristband builds their capacity by 20%, while the Mu family possesses an exceptional armband that expands their capacity by 40%, and said that he gets no opportunity of winning the duel at all. Mo-fan began to leave after hearing enough and lit a fire at a wooden target. He wore the star bracelet that night because his pendant started to gravitate toward it as he looked at it. He tried to meditate, but the pendant turned into a worm and ate it right away. Mo-fan tried to wake it up, afraid he would be kicked out of the school, but Tang Yu appeared beside him. She understood that he had lost the wristband and let him know that he would be removed from the foundation. Mo has no other choice but to Fan made the decision to tell the truth, telling her that the bracelet had been eaten by his pendant. She thought about how he obtained the pendant, so he told her that it was given to him by his granddad. He was informed by Tang Yu that the pendant was magical equipment that enhanced stats and required energy to reach spirit level, so he ought to treasure it. In order to receive some fundamental instruction from an army commander, the students ascend into the mountains. They thought so because the army's leader wants these students to take part in an exercise called the hunting program, in which they will hunt real enemies and put their mage skills to the test. So Mo-fan and the others begin getting done with different various responsibilities, until they run over a cavern. The army leader instructed them to retrieve a bracelet he had lost inside the cave. However, the cave's one-eyed wolves are present. The commandant let them know it was the one looked at wolf inside the cavern, yet that was obviously false on the grounds that the wolf is really called the soul wolf, which is under the order of their orders to go delicate on the understudies. They all enter the cave to put their skills to the test and eventually encounter the enormous wolf. Except for Mubai, who uses his ice magic, the majority of the students are terrified, but it does little harm to the monster. After that, Mo Fun quickly aids a girl who is brave enough to confront the beast, but Mo Fun took her out of the cave knowing that she wouldn't harm it. In any case, a similar young lady ran back inside to demonstrate that she's major areas of strength for A. However, the monster was unharmed by her second attempt, and the lightning-powered student saved her just in time. Additionally, Mubai makes a second attempt but is knocked to the ground. Mo Fan made the decision to activate his badge, summoned a flame, and began hurling a number of flames at the wolf as his attire transformed into a special uniform. The monster flew out of the cave and jumped into the stream as it was aflame. Simultaneously, Jan Kong was satisfied that Mo Fan had the option to stir a level 2 fire burst. On the other hand, when he instructed his assistant to direct his pet wolf to keep away from the students, they discovered that the wolf had made the decision to act erratically. The wolf had emerged from the water and was prepared to eat a useless, terrified girl. However, Ziohu saved her without a moment to spare. He made the decision to run into the cave in the hope of distracting the beast from the other students. Mo Fan, on the other hand, hid behind a rock after the wolf saw him and blew a wind at him, which he narrowly avoided. Zio flew toward the beast as it appeared above him and saved him from being crushed. As a result, while the monster pursued them, they began to fly further down into the cave. One ugly fatso suggested that they abandoned Mo Fan and fled when the monster was out of sight. For wanting to leave a friend, the girls told him to screw himself and called him a worthless little trash. When Jan Kong appeared before them, he asked where Mo Fan was. Zhu Min then told him that he had gone deeper into the cave to keep the monster away from everyone. After the two of them bait him in, the monster went after Zhang Ziyu and he was wrecked. Mo Fan then combines both of his skills for the first time to defeat the spirit wolf. His necklace begins to absorb all of the spirit's energy as soon as he kills the beast, making him even more powerful. He tells his teacher that he is surprised that a student was able to defeat the wolf because the power of the spirit wolf is just as strong as the power of the real one-eyed wolf. As the errand was finished, all understudies will get a score on the test, all because of Mo Fun. But Mo Fun isn't bothered by the praise because he's more concerned with letting go of his true power. He was able to unlock level 2 fire after he defeated the beast, and he realized how effective it was against the beast. As a result, he intends to attain the same level 2 power as his lightning ability. Everything Miss Yang told him about the necklace, which he can use to absorb many souls, is still fresh in his mind. In order to enhance his powers and further evolve the necklace, he makes the decision to become a hunter. Therefore, Mofin enters the city to join the group of hunters. He asks a stranger how to join the city hunters as he enters the hunters' hall. He lets Mofin know there's an enormous holding up line to join, and lets him know that they need to acknowledge mages who don't have basically a firepower. Mofin chose to inquire as to whether thunder entertainers were permitted into the group, so the man let him know that they would be acknowledged in a squint of an eye since they were strong and hard to track down. Mofin made the choice to join the line after hearing his words. At the point when he showed up inside the workplace, a young lady from the trackers group, Ziog, let him know that they were just tolerating experienced entertainers into their group and that they had a bad situation for a mother's kid. They thought Mofin was a disgusting liar, and was when he decided to tell them that he has the thunder element. Too ugly to have such a remarkable talent. The losers in line saw that their chances of making the team were officially ruined as Mofin began to summon his thunder element in front of them. He was greeted by the team's leader as he appeared in front of him at that moment. The useless leader told him that he would be trained to become the next Usain Bolt when Mofin started telling him that he was a weak, hopeless newbie who was too slow to even run. He advised the leftover washouts to head home, and said that their revolting countenances would bring him awful dreams. He began shortly thereafter to introduce Mofin to the group. However, a woman showed up and informed him that a monster had broken into a faraway high school. Mofin offered to follow them because the leader had told him that they had to get rid of it right away. Mofin arrives at the scene and begins an investigation. Shortly after, he encounters the beast with one eye who appears to be quite powerful. He fights the beast, but luckily it reaches the rest of the team, who now show why they are known as the Elite Hunter Group. When the youngest member of the group was using her powers, she made a mistake at that time. But for the Mo's sake, he was able to defeat the beast thanks to Fun's lightning speed. The girl was safe from harm because the beast was completely paralyzed. They all accept Mo Fun as a member of the team and express their gratitude to him for being there and saving her life. Mo Fun starts to fit in well with the gathering and turned into a regarded tracker. Yuang, the strongest male ice mage, has been prepared by the Mu family. He will be the one to fight Mo Fun in the duel. Yang inquires as to why he chose him to fight Mo Fun as a mage, and the boss says it's to celebrate his maturity, and he can invite the whole family. Mo Fun is asked to meet his classmate Jamin after school at school. She tells the strongest mage in the class that she wanted to investigate the area because she had heard stories about strange things happening there. He agrees and helps her find the area. They find another one-eyed wolf, but this one is different, and he tells her that this is the real one-eyed wolf that the city hunters have been looking for, all through. However, Zhu Min began immediately calling the police. Mo Fan immediately carried her off when the monster noticed them. As he rushed away, apprehensive for their security, the wolf burst out of the processing plant in pursuit. So they jumped to the floor, and Mo Stir-Up sent off fire at the entry. But the beast chased them into a warehouse as they fled quickly. Mo Fan told Jimin to immediately call the police and offered to be the beast's bait as they hid. But she thought he would be crushed and advised them to flee. Together, Mo Fan pushed her to safety as the monster appeared before their eyes, allowing her to flee for her life. He shielded himself with his magical armor, but the monster threw him away and stumbled outside the factory. He saw the monster shortly thereafter. However, Kai Tang and a random individual arrived at the scene and cast a large ice that ensnared the monster's feet as Mo Fan attempted to summon a flame. Kai Tang yelled for him to flee while Mo Fan was still in shock, but she was unaware that he was actually her new teammate, and they believed he was an ineffective coward who had fled like a chicken. So they chose to project more ice around the monster to control it, and after a short time, the monster was canvassed completely in ice. The leader informed Mofin when he got there that the beast was a wolf demon that had changed and could kill everyone in a split second. As Mo Fan launched a blast at the monster, Lai Wenji instructed him to zap it with lightning. The wolf, on the other hand, turns red after using his power, eventually evolving into a general class and becoming even stronger. The captain insists that they should at least attempt to defeat it because many lives are at risk if they do nothing, but some agree to retreat and leave because the odds are in its favor. In an effort to contain the beast, which proves to be quite resistant, they all band together at this point and make full use of their powers. Even though they have a lot of experience as mages, the wolf keeps increasing its strength. So from that point onward, they corner up collectively, and Mo Fun chooses to utilize the lightning ability to shock the wolf. He figures out how to keep up with it for some time. However, because this particular wolf is still much higher level than he is, this is still insufficient to defeat the beast. Therefore, this man, who appears out of nowhere, is their only hope. He goes by the name Mr. and is Asia's strongest water mage. Yong. Mr. Yong utilizes his high-level water component to take out the monster, and gives a claim towards Mo a good time for being sufficiently daring to go head-to against the wolf with just one eye. Mo Fan then gains a new level of power after absorbing the wolf's soul. The day of his fight with Yuan is getting closer, and while the director gives him some encouragement, he is also worried because he doesn't believe he will win. He said Mo Fan informed the victor of his duel that the winner would be trained in the sacred spring, a potent stream of magical water that honed a magician's skills but was beginning to vanish. He said that one youthful performer was permitted into the consecrated spring consistently, and he trusted that Mo Fan would win the spot. But the teacher said that Joyan's son would kick his ass with a blindfold on and that he was hopeless. However, he wanted Mo Fan to give it his all and be remembered as a hero in his own right. That evening, Mu Ningsu, Joyan's daughter, appeared alongside Mo Fan as he was taking in his surroundings and advised him to give up the duel. Mo Fan was unconcerned and promised to kick her brother's ass instead, despite her assertion that her brother was a cold, wicked brute who would sever his body and soul. She decided to inquire as to why he was willing to risk his life in the battle once she realized he had made up his mind. As a result, he told her that her father was a disgusting piece of trash who deserved to have his butt whipped for bullying him. He thought back to the time Joyan kicked his father when he was caught trying to run away with her, and how she had always hoped to make him feel like a slob. He promised to destroy her brother like a useless thief as he summoned a flame. Mo Fun approaches the convention as the day of the duel approaches, where all of the city's most influential people will be present to witness Yu Ang's maturation. Every one of the visitors show up outside, and Mo Fun methodology's Kai Tang, who lets him know he ought not be strolling on honorary pathway and behaving like a celebrity visitor. They didn't know that Mo Fun was their friend Fan Mo, who is a member of the city hunters. Mo Fun showed up on his own, but he was joined by some of his friends, including his classmates and the training's army leader. Even though most of them were aware that he would not win, Program and his father are all present to support him. The duel begins after they shake hands. They are both extremely powerful, but Yuan, a member of the Mu family, possesses very special magic equipment that enables him to move extremely quickly, making it difficult for Mo Fun to land a single hit. Mo Fan is attacked by an ice storm after Yuan mocks him and says that his level 3 ice power is stronger than his level 2 fire ignite. Therefore, Mo Fan recalls his Hunter City training. He takes on the soul of the wolf and puts the 7th star in the right place to unleash his true fire ability, which allows him to create a fireball all around him to shield him from the ice storm. He then utilizes a fire blast to thump down Yuan. However, Mo Fan's ability to summon a level 3 fire element surprised Yuan, who rose once more. So he cast his shroud to the side and uncovered his enchanted covering, expecting to save Mo Fan from obliteration. He was advised to give up the fight by Jan Kong, who claimed that Yuang's armor was impenetrable. Mo Fan recalled that his father had hoped for him to succeed as a mage when Yuang began to call him a useless nobody who would continue to lose. Mo Fan began to unleash a powerful lightning as a result of this memory, and his insane team eventually discovered that he was a similar individual. Yuang began to pray to the Lord as he realized he was toast as more thunder surrounded him as he woke all 7 stars. Mo Fan extended his hand and aimed the thunderbolt at him, ripping off his armor and engulfing him. However, Yuang refused to give in, so he used ice stakes to restrain Mo Fan but kicked them in his direction. He destroyed the stakes and rained a powerful lightning on you as he connected his stars. Mo Fan wins spectacularly, but unanticipatedly, in the end. Please leave a comment below if you would like me to review the 2nd season. And thanks for watching. Remember to like and take care, guys, until the next time. Mo Fan